I'm in call.
Yes.
Good morning, Councillor Mdumisinoxolo.
Yes, Councillor. Yes, I've just indicate in now.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. Bye.
We just need confirmation that she didn't move to Mossel Bay. Molweni.
Good morning.
Good morning, Speaker. Good morning, everybody, colleagues. Good morning.
Good morning, Alderman.
Good morning, Gerald.
Morning, Peter.
Thank you. Can we please settle down? My watch says it's now 11:01. Notice is hereby given in terms of Section 29 of the Local Government Municipal Structures Act 117 of 1998 that a council meeting of the 2016-2021 term of the Garden District Municipality will be held via Zoom on Tuesday, 22nd of June, 2021 at 11 o'clock. Thank you. Let me welcome our Executive Mayor. Thank you, Alderman Executive Mayor, our Deputy Executive Mayor, our mayoral committee members, all councillors present, our municipal manager and our precious staff, our secretariat, everybody that's tuned in, most welcome to this meeting. And I wish you very productive and constructive engagements. And we're looking forward and we thank the good Lord for the day that He's granted us. Can I now request that we have silent prayer? And as per usual, and as not per usual, it still continues. And I again request all gentlemen, please to stand up so that we can never forget the fight against gender-based violence. Whilst we're standing up, let's also think of Councillor Fry, who's lost his mother, and who today is preparing the funeral arrangements. Thank you. Thank you very much. I've received, can we do the attendance, please, Tandu? I'm requesting our secretariat just to call the names of the councillors present also at the virtual meetings, or attending this meeting virtually, just to respond to Tandu's, after Tandu has pronounced your name. Please, thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Councillor Hartnick,
Present, thank you.
Councillor Rousseau,
Presence. Thank you.
Councillor Barker,
Present, thank you.
Councillor Lichaba,
Present, thank you.
Alderman De Vries,
Present.
Councillor Mdumisinoxolo, Councillor Mdumisinoxolo.
Present.
Thank you, Councillor. Alderman van der Hoven,
Present, Speaker.
Alderman Gericke,
Present.
Councillor Tshokolo, Councillor Tshokolo, Councillor Mangaliso,
Speaker, did you hear me? Am I audible?
yes, you are, Councillor.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Mayor,
Present, thank you.
all the lady raiders,
Good morning, present, thank you.
Councillor Makopeni,
Ikhona,
Councillor Lambogini,
Present, Speaker.
Councillor Mangaliso,
Good morning, Present Speaker.
that will be all, Speaker.
Thank you very much. I've received applications for leave of absence from Councillor Fry, Councillor Sharon May, and Councillor Gungubele. Any other applications for leave of absence?
Speaker.
Speaker, good morning.
Good morning, Councillor Strubel.
I have not heard that my name be read, that my name is read, Speaker. It's Councillor Cllr.Elizabeth TabA, and I'm present via Zoom. Thank you. Would that please be noted?
Thank you, Councillor Strubel. We do that.
Speaker.
I'm listening.
Councillor Lamborghini from the conference hall here in Oudtshoorn. I've got here with me Councillor Vilskut and Councillor Ben van Wyk. We are sitting in this venue in Oudtshoorn. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Lamborghini. Mr. Manager, any applications from your side of any of your executive managers or staff members?
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, Speaker, Executive Mayor, and councillors. Yes, Speaker, only one senior manager, the CFO, is on sick leave. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Amen.
Amen.
I'm listening.
Speaker. And then Mr. Clark Africa is also on leave. I'm acting in his position, Johan Kompion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kompion.
Good morning, Speaker.
Good morning.
I'm Councillor Gerald Buzak and I'm present.
Thank you, Councillor Buzak. Thank you, colleagues. And then we move to the next item, and that is noting of the provisions of Schedule 1 of the Code of Conduct for Councillors, currently still in the Local Government Municipal Systems Act 2000. Take note of our code of conduct. Noted. Any disclosure of interest by councillors and or officials of any item to be discussed today, any pecuniary interest or that you would like to discuss? Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Speaker. On my own behalf and on behalf of all staff employed in the political offices, I declare an interest on the item of the policy for staff living council.
Thank you very much, Nthabiseng. We note that. Councillor Spies.
Just need to ask if I must declare my interest in the smoking policy.
I don't know if we have a quorum after that. If everybody, all the smokers recuse themselves, but Strongs for stop smoking can be done.
No, Speaker, it's not a pecuniary interest. So we can proceed.
We're not selling tobacco. Thank you. Can I then ask our communication executive mayor to present his communications to us? And there's also a very special person in our midst today. We would like to recognize Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to all councillors, and good morning or good afternoon. Mr. Speaker, may I propose that I start with the issuing of a long service award, and then after that we continue. I'm just thinking in terms of time. We're very fortunate colleagues, and I don't know how our staff managed to do this. In front of me, Mr. Speaker and colleagues and officials, your other colleague, Mr. Nthabiseng, he's finished 40 years of service with this municipality. I'm sure this stretches back to when this was probably called Otaniqua or whatever. I'm not sure, but this is indeed a lifetime. I think I might have been studied my Kimbies when he started working here. But Mr. Speaker and colleagues, indeed, I would like to call Mr. Nthabiseng to come to the front to receive his long service award. And it really makes us proud because this is also an indication that the longer the staff remains within an institution, it's an indication that they are enjoying what they're doing. And it's also an indication that the management is good. But we also know that we're not the perfect institution, but this is indeed institutional knowledge that we're sitting here with Mr. Nthabiseng. Mr. Nthabiseng, you may come to the front.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. When I left council and Potchefstroom for after 26 years, they sang to me, "For he's a jolly good fellow." And I think we should do the same to you. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. And so say all of us, and so say all of us, and so say all of us. For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good
He's jolly
fellow.
good
For he's a
fellow.
jolly good fellow. And so say all of us.
Of
Hip, hip.
us. Hurrah!
Congratulations, Mr. Stason. I don't want to ask you at what age you started, but you are really an example for all of us. Baie dankie vir 'n pragtige voorbeeld wat u gestel het en nogmaals namens ons ook as voorste van die raad ook aan u baie geluk. Baie dankie. Voorspoed. Geniet die res van die tyd. Thank you, Mr. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker and colleagues and those who are listening, I did greet, and let me greet one more time. Mr. Speaker, this is also another milestone in the history of this council. The fact that today is our last meeting in this financial year, and we reached this point, Mr. Speaker, under very trying and difficult circumstances, based on what has happened to us, based on our lack of resources, etc. But we've managed to get to this point intact, in the sense that the municipality is in a good financial state. The municipality is in good hands administratively, and so can I attest politically as well, in terms of the cooperation and in terms of how we do things jointly, regardless of our different political parties. We have worked as a unit, and that gives me pleasure to announce that as well, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we also know that every year, this time in this month, the month of June, it's a commemoration month of the Nthabiseng and the Bay Beetle fires and all other fires that actually followed that. And Mr. Speaker, I don't want to go back in terms of the bad memories, the lives lost, property damaged, everything that went with that historic huge fire. And we did have that commemoration a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Speaker, and it is no different this year. And as we speak, our firefighters are fighting fires. It could have been similar or even worse, but I must take our heads off to all the efforts by all the different municipalities and all the firemen who are dealing with these matters. And we're also aware, Mr. Speaker, that the community is also playing a crucial part in donating whatever assistance they can do to the firefighters. There has been an announcement on Eden FM in terms of drop-off points. We know that it is energy bars, energy drinks, and everything, food, everything that they can assist the firefighters with. Even some of the community members who are volunteers, who have the necessary training. We say thank you very much for them in dealing with this disaster at this moment. I'm also aware, Mr. Speaker, that apart from fires within our own jurisdictions, there's also a fire currently burning right on our borders on the Eastern Cape side. At one stage, the N2 was closed. I think sometime yesterday, I don't know what the latest status is now, Mr. Speaker, but once again, it's also our plea, apart from the sterling job which our heroes and heroines are doing. We also call for people to be vigilant, to be as careful as possible when they're drying, when they're flipping stompies out of their car windows, anything that can cause a fire. We really urge our people of the Western Cape, Eastern Cape, to be as careful and as vigilant as possible. Mr. Speaker, also, this has been coming on for quite some time now, where we have launched a Walk a Child to School in partnership with Eden FM, Vodacom, the Garden Road District Municipality, as well as the George Museum. This is almost the due date of D-Day for us to deal and finalize this project of dishing and issuing school shoes to children. I want to urge people, I know that it's almost payday, so those who might have forgotten about this, or those who have budgeted to buy some school shoes, please do so before the end of this month. And a special thank you, because again, we're leading by example. Municipal Manager, on behalf of Council, a special thank you to your professional staff. I'm also aware that the staff members have already started buying and donating shoes for this great initiative. We want to say thank you very much to them, and it will not go unnoticed. And may God bless us. The word says that blessed is the hand that given and the one that's taken, and this is exactly what I am speaking over us, those who are part of this project. Mr. Speaker, also again, a couple of months ago, I made some announcements here that we are busy again to turn our resorts around. And I mentioned Cllr.Elizabeth TabA in particular. And I've seen some photos, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, on the turnaround and the new facelift that is happening at Cllr.Elizabeth TabA. I don't know whether one calls it renovations or refurbishments. I saw some LED lights there. There's quite a lot that is happening at Cllr.Elizabeth TabA. I want to give a special thanks to the MM and his team. I know there's a Mr. Pasmo involved. There's a Mr. Lusanda Menze involved. There's a lady Medron involved, and all the staff that are part of that project. I'm impressed of what I'm seeing. I'm actually going to take a drive out there tomorrow just to get a feel of it. And by what I've seen so far, colleagues, is that indeed that is a great turnaround. And hopefully it will go with a higher occupancy going forward, because these kind of things attract people. You know, the more beautiful they look and the comfortable they are, then people look forward to join such an establishment. Also, Mr. Speaker, a couple of months ago, and I'm keep on referring back to what we've said in the past, and then I come to the end results, because again, that is an indication that we don't just talk, we walk the talk as the Garden Road District Municipality. A couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, I announced here that 19 students were enrolled as part of the Cater Care hospitality project. And it has come to my attention once again that Elder Lady Volmerans and Mr. Menze, they witnessed their graduation. And I've also been informed that the hospitality industry, the hotel schools, the restaurants, etc., have already made some inquiries on some of these graduates. And once again, Mr. Speaker, again, that is a small part of the puzzle of us wanting to become a skills mecca. So we are building all these skills in terms of what is required to make this economy tick. And the skills mecca is definitely on his way. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some years probably, but we are seeing the signs of starting the small steps to finish this marathon. And I want to congratulate all the students who have graduated in this program. And again, we need to keep track on them. Francois Ferreira have already indicated that there is a way of keeping track on them to make sure that their sacrifices are not in vain. Mr. Speaker, you've mentioned this in your opening remarks that we've lost some loved ones, some colleagues have lost some parents, etc. To the people of the Garden Route, we are in the third wave of COVID-19 pandemic, which is a warning, Mr. Speaker, that we must guard against COVID-19 fatigue. We still need to adhere and try our best to be as careful as possible so that we can curb the spread. Even with our meetings, we still are making use of the Zoom platforms. And even when we enter into the council chambers, as everybody can see here, we again leading by example. We are keeping our social distances and we dealing with this pandemic the best way we can. So we must just guard once more to make sure that we do not become part of the statistics in terms of spreading this. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, people might not understand this, but it is incumbent upon us as leaders, whether we're political leaders, whether we leaders of religious organizations, but it is our duty when we're in an election here to encourage people to go and register. And we've seen in the stats from Stats South Africa, especially the youth, Mr. Speaker. The youth are not registered, and this is a plea and this is a call from our side for the youth to go and register so that you can raise your voice and so that you can represent your interest and so that you can become part of the decisions of tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Executive Mayor. If there are no short responses to the Executive Mayor's announcements, communications,
No, Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman van der Hoven.
Sorry, Speaker, I couldn't find the hand to raise it. But now I've got it. Thank you, Speaker, for the opportunity.
It's normally
Speaker,
attached to one's arm.
no, I know I've got it, Speaker, so don't worry. Thank you for the opportunity. Good morning to everybody. I hope you are all well. Firstly, Speaker, I want also on behalf of the ANC, want to congratulate Mr. Oosthuizen on the 40 years of service. It is really indeed something, an achievement. I couldn't, from here where we are, where I am seated, I couldn't see Mr. Oosthuizen because the video was too small, but nevertheless, it's good to have someone like that in the service, and I'm sure he's not the only one. There are others as well. I almost thought that the mayor said it's the last meeting, but then he said it's the last meeting in this financial year. We also want to respond to the fires in Knysna, Bito fires. It was devastating, and I'm sure we've learned a lot of lessons, and we will make sure that the disaster and devastation does not happen again. Thanks to what has happened previously. Luckily, we learn from mistakes, and then we, and not just from mistakes, from experiences, and then we can build on that. The walk to child to school, I've raised it previously, and I'm going to raise it again on behalf of the ANC. This is a project that should happen in the beginning of the year. We are fully in support of it. It should happen when the schools open in the beginning of the year and not before an election. Surely this is misuse of funds. Or let me rephrase myself, it can be seen as misuse of funds for an election campaign. Speaker, not that we are against it in any way, Speaker, we will support that full out. It is just the timing that concerns us. The Callsdorp Spa, Speaker, through you to Mr. Meyer, surely a trip can be arranged for all councillors to pay a visit there and see what is happening. I think that should be before the end of this term, should be on our calendar. The guard against COVID-19, Speaker, we cannot be too much aware, and we must make sure that everyone implement the arrangements and to take care. Speaker, I'm going to raise my case there.
Thank you very much, Alderman van der Hoven. Alderman Gericke.
Yeah, Speaker, morning. Good morning, Alderman, Mr. Meyer, and to the municipal manager, all directors and colleagues. Speaker, just also congratulations to Mr. Oosthuizen on 40 years service. Indeed, an achievement, a wonderful, great achievement, and an example of an individual with stability in his life. And I think it's an example that all of us should take note of. Then the mayor has referred to that fact that the municipality is in good financial state. Yes, great stuff. And then on that note, we need to congratulate the municipal manager, chief financial officer, and all staff that has contributed to the financial stability in this municipality, Mr. Speaker. Also to the fiduciary integrity of this municipality. It's a great thing that's in dispute at the moment countrywide. And we see in many municipalities how finances cannot be controlled or managed, and subsequently services are then lacking in those municipalities or sacrificed. Having said that, we are grateful to be part of such a municipality as opposition parties, that we have played such a critical oversight role, so much so that this municipality is in a good financial position. The firemen, we wish them well, and we express the hope that the fires will be under control soon. And we thank the public for their support towards the firemen. We know that the public normally supports our firemen, and we want to thank them, the firemen, together with their commanders, for the excellent work that they are doing in this region and their response, Mr. when it comes to the control of fires. I have, unfortunately, Mr. Mayor, have to agree with Alderman van der Hoeven on the issue of walk a child to school. It sounds much more than going this time of the year to school, like the Americas, starting in June when we are in December for that matter. But if you claim that this is an initiative of council, I just want to inform you that I have not, as a councillor in this municipality, received any notice to join any contingency or company to any school to go and hand out some school shoes and so on. I do not know how it works. I don't know who will be invited. Then the turnaround of the resorts. Yes, great stuff there, Mr. Menzi. I have also seen some pictures. And that turnaround is really something inviting to the eye. It will also then be inviting to guests and tourists coming this way. These were the initiatives that we were long waiting for. That's what we call real turnaround, and money is worth spending. Congratulations to your department and everybody involved in that initiative. Cater Care Hospitality Project, Mr. Mayor, I am serving on this committee. I am a proud member of this committee and a proud member to have supported this project. I'm also a proud member. This year, unfortunately, Mr. I couldn't make it. I was out. But I recall the emotional moments when those kids graduate, the poor kids of our society, when they graduate and when they achieve something. The tears roll, my tears have rolled. And I will salute you for that project, Mr. the political office bearers of this municipality. It's great stuff. It's great initiative from the leadership of this municipality. And I express the hope that the next government that will be coming in will increase the budget so that we include more people and more learners towards that project. I'm almost done, Mr. Speaker. The third wave of the pandemic, very important point, Mr. Mayor. We have seen the analysts on television. We are reading about the increase and the upsurge in the COVID-19. We should not take this lightly. We must implement every step, Mr. to make sure that our staff is safe, sound, and secure. We really don't want to repeat the last cycle that we've gone through. Virtually every week we received news of people that have passed on, and it was just a stressful moment on our staff and the emergency services. So therefore, I would love when you speak, Mr. MM, that you update us on the steps to be taken. Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My images, yeah. Okay, just to update us on the steps to be taken and in terms of the policy, how the policy will be applicable in terms of working from home, because we need not become complacent. And then thank you, Mr. Meyer, for your guidance and your leadership. Blessings to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Thank you, Councillor Harris.
Goeiemôre, speaker, burgemeester, amptenare, mede-raadslede. I'm going to use my lingua franca. Ja, Mr. Speaker, baie dankie. Mr. Meyer, baie dankie dat u ons ook in alle tye op hoogte hou waarmee u besig is en ook ons remind waarmee die raad besig is. Ook aan meneer Oosthuizen, geluk aan u, maar hy is weg. Maar in sy afwesigheid, Mr. Speaker, ook gelukwens aan Mr. Oosthuizen vir sy lang diensjare. Klompie winters, klompie somers, op en af draande is altyd nie maklik om 'n pad te loop vir 40 jaar nie. Was natuurlik baie burgemeesters en munisipale bestuurders en almal deurgekom, almal met sy eie rules en regulations en so voort. Ja, ek wil net saamstem met die burgemeester ten opsigte van die jeug, dat hulle wel moet uitgaan om te registreer in die komende plaaslike verkiesing. Dit is so soms aanmoedig ons hulle aan en na die verkiesing en die uitslag dan vergeet ons weer van die jeug. Waar ons moet byhou by ons projekte waar ons fokus op die bemagtiging op alle vlakke van die jeug en dat ons hulle nie sal vergeet nie. Dan ten opsigte van COVID-19, ja, ons sit nou in 'n ander situasie. Dit is erger as die nuwe norm waarvan hulle gepraat het en ons moet baie paraat wees wanneer dit kom by die COVID-19 third wave en dat ons nog steeds alle golden rules van COVID-19 moet nakom en is wel, jy sien wie, Mr. Speaker, wanneer die geleerde mense in die gesondheidsafdeling praat, dan maak het jou kop deur mekaar. Want die een professor sê so en hy professor sê so, nou weet jy nie meer. Maar aan die einde van die dag, al verskil die twee professore, moet daar 'n besluit geneem word om rigting te gee. So, daar was 'n besluit geneem, ongeag al die woelinge rondom dit, is dat ons moet die president van die land ondersteun in sy versoek dat ons asseblief tog versigtig moet wees. Baie dankie, Mr. Speaker.
Baie dankie, Rosit Harris. Thank you, Councillor Harris. I don't know if you need a sort of translation of that. Is it possible? I know that our rules determine virtual meetings must be in one language only, and that we are very fortunate today to have somebody that can do the interpretation for us. Thank you.
Somlomo enkosi mandibulele kuwe ndibulise kusodolophi oceba namagosa onke. Somlomo ndizawuthetha ngelwimi lam ke namhlanje ilwimi lam lenkobe. Somlomo ndiyabulela. Enkosi sodolophi ngokusixelela ngokuqhubekayo kwingingqi esikuye. Nakumnumzana uWesthuizen ndiyafuna nje ukumnqwenela okuhle kuba kaloku ixesha elide elingaka alisebenzileyo kumasipala leminyaka engamashumi-40 lixesha elide kakhulu. Ndiyaqonda ke mhlawumbi ke uyawabona noosodolophu abaninzi abahlukeneyo. Ndiyafuna nokunqwenelana noosodolophu ngokukhuthaza ulutsha ukuba luye kubhalisela unyulo oluzayo. Kuye ke kwenzeke ke lulibaleke ulutsha emveni kolonyulo, kodwa ndiyathemba kuza kutshintsha oko. Xa ndichaphula ke kumba we-COVID-19 nobizwa ke ngendlela ethile ekuthiwa kuyo ke i-new normal. Ndiyathemba ke siza kuyithobela yonke imigomo ebekiweyo. Nenye nje into eye ibhide ngamanye amaxesha iingalo ezininzi ziye zibe neembono ezohlukileyo nezibangela ukubhideka ke. Kodwa ke ndiyathemba siluluntu loMzantsi Afrika siza kuyithobela ke imithetho yonke ke ebekiweyo ke ngumongameli weli. Enkosi.
Jawel, kakhulu. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to comment to each and every issue that has been raised by the three councillors. Safe to say that the majority of the matters are matters to take to heart. I'm just going to respond to about two. The first one, Mr. Speaker, is that the deadline for the collection of the shoes that is still pending, and that is the end of this month. So there's been no handouts as yet. And as soon as we're done with that process, I will then communicate in terms of the invitation as well to go and hand out the shoes. So that is still pending. So councillors, there's nothing untoward or happening behind the scenes. And because this thing has been raised a couple of times and it's the same questions every time, so the answers will then also be the same, that it was not our initiative. We just supported it because it's a good initiative, but I do understand the concerns in terms of why in June, etc., etc. A logical understanding would then just also be based on the fact that it does happen that some people have started the new year, the new school year, probably even without shoes. And then, Mr. Speaker, lastly, is on the matter of going to Cllr.Elizabeth Spa, the issue raised by Alderman van der Hoven. I did make arrangements that councillors please take note on the 27th of October 2021. I will take you to Cllr.Elizabeth Spa. I'm just joking. Colleagues, I'm just joking, but we will make the arrangement for.
Accepted, Speaker. We will be there to celebrate, but it will be late in the evening.
That trip will be arranged, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will on that date most probably travel with my own car, but I would love to see it as well. But, thank you. No, from my side. No, Mr. Executive Mayor, Speaker, I think I should set the example. And with Councillor Barker, 18 pairs of shoes will be delivered tomorrow from Garden from our side, and it will be black shoes, and 9 for a boy child and boy girls, 9. So thank you so much. You will receive it tomorrow. Then I would just like to congratulate our birthday people in July, and Sharon May. She's unfortunately dealing with some medical issues her husband is experiencing, but she's birthday on the 3rd of July. And then we've got on the 24th of July, we've got Councillor Machila. That will be birthday on the 24th. And on the 4th of July, we will have Councillor Mdumisinoxolo. That's all from my side. And thank you. Can we hear our good municipal manager, Nthabiseng. Thank you.
Speaker.
Welcome, Alderman.
Speaker, you had a beautiful tradition throughout the years in this council. Then whenever it's somebody's birthday month, that you hand over those people a gift. Now that it was June and it was my birthday, suddenly it doesn't happen, Mr. Speaker. So I just leave that in the air. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Alderman. I'll definitely give you a hug, but as you know that I sang you a birthday song on your birthday. So as a gift from my side, I hope your ears didn't hurt that much. But yes,
yeah,
surely we'll do that. Thank you, MM.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, Executive Mayor, Deputy Executive Mayor, councillors, colleagues. Just a few things from me, Mr. Speaker. Maybe I should start with the COVID-19 question. We have a process in terms of the guidelines from national, where we have established a steering committee inside the organization that is made up of representatives of the workers and management. That steering committee from time to time sits and determines the risk-adjusted strategy for the municipality. So what will happen is that they would assess the intensity of the pandemic and then would make recommendations to MENCOM to implement. So we are waiting for them to give us guidance taking into account the prevalence of the pandemic in our region. So the policy of working from home will also be discussed by that committee in terms of how it's going to be implemented. But in terms of enabling staff to be able to work from home, we've done everything. If there should be people that must work from home, I think the resources are enough to assist in that regard. And I think we all now have become used in terms of how those things are done. It's just that we need to be disciplined as professionals, that when you work from home, it doesn't mean you work from your bed, but you actually wake up and wash and dress up and go and sit in a particular corner for a particular time as if you are here, which is difficult to police because we meet people working from home at the mall, which is kind of a problem to police sometimes. But I think the committee will come up with the realistic ways in terms of how we would do that. In terms of the infections in the institution, we only have 2 active cases. And I think in terms of our calculations, even those are nearing their recovery stage. There has been no hospitalization in terms of the report that I have, and there's been no loss of life. Importantly, those colleagues that have been infected were not infected from here or in the workplace, but it's something that happened from home. So we do encourage people to always make sure that when they are at home, they protect us as well as they protect themselves and their families, because we depend on each and everyone's behavior, even in our absence in their vicinity at any given time. We will then, Council, be receiving the update from Mr. Otto on the general COVID-19 situation. But the reality is that the vaccines are not coming in the numbers that they should. And I think it's being discussed daily in all the platforms. There are so many reasons. Our reality is that the vaccines are not enough. You would have seen the Premier has had to close some of the vaccination stations because of the speed at which the vaccines are coming. It therefore means for us South Africans that are not vaccinated, it's in our hands how we protect ourselves. We have been taught that we must wash hands, we must social distance, we must wear our masks. There's no other thing until people are vaccinated. But would like to encourage those that are eligible, that is those that are 60 and above, to do so, to go and take your jabs. It's very important. If anyone doubted the efficacy of the vaccines, you must just watch the Euro. You will see in some countries like Hungary, they've got fully packed stadiums with no masks because they have advanced in their vaccinations. In Wuhan, weeks ago, about 10,000 students graduated without wearing masks. So the vaccines do work. Those that are eligible to get them, please get them. We are in discussions with the provincial government currently in terms of the possibility of vaccinating municipal staff. We are now facing the elections, there's protests, there's demands, there's everything, which means there's going to be a lot of pressure on municipal services. And people must render services, and we know that councillors, communities are going to demand everything. For this region's workforce and all its councillors to be vaccinated, we just need just above 6,000 vaccines. And if we do that, it means this wave even if it can get worse, the services that are rendered by the municipalities will not be affected. Therefore, we can go to the elections with at least some kind of advantage. But that also depends on the availability of vaccines. And everybody is pleading their case that they are essential than the other, but we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And I understand that the cabinet will be discussing that this week. So that is the situation about the COVID-19 situation. Speaker, as the mayor has said, this is the last council meeting for the financial year. And councillors would have noted in the agenda there are very important items coming from the MPEC as well, and others that need to be concluded so that as part of the year-end activities, we really are trying to deal with the issues relating to irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. And I think there are clear recommendations from NPEC in that regard, having taken those through the process. And we hope Council will apply its mind and take the right decisions. We are also submitting quite an important document as well, the process learned for the annual report. We know that this council's term would have ended by the time the annual report process is concluded. But I think it's very important that we know that it has to be approved now so that we can move forward. And we hope Council will apply its mind in that regard as well. We are busy, councillors, with the preparations for concluding the term of this council. You would have seen that there are certain items that were workshopped in the previous council workshop in terms of changes in legislation, introduction of new legislation like the recognition of the Khoi and Sen traditional leadership and all those things. And we're preparing to ensure that when the new council is in place, we will be ready for that. We have had quite a successful municipal managers forum and the district coordinating forum last week with all the municipal managers of the region, and there are clear decisions on certain things that need to be done, including issues relating to the danger allowance and how this province and the national government must deal with that. Other matters relating to what was presented here, the IDIS process for the foreign direct investment for our projects. So those matters are being discussed at the district level. On the 30th of June, we will be having a human settlement session, which is organized by the National Department, the Provincial Department, the Housing Development Agency, and the district to really clarify the projects that those departments would like us to take forward. We have visited all municipalities in explaining the process of this municipality entering into the housing space. And I think those workshops with the local municipalities were very clear. And that then is the situation with the Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nthabiseng. Alderman Gericke.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just two things. The municipal manager has now raised eyebrows when he said that the vaccines are not coming forth or are not enough. Might be corrected. It is then coming from the municipality, from the municipal manager. It's a gross point of concern, because on the national level and elsewhere in the newspapers, it is continually said that the vaccines will arrive on such and such a date, and then the provinces and the regions are outlined with regard to dates and so on. And it is actually sad news what the municipal manager is telling us now. So instead of then, we understand then, Mr. MM, that if there's a delay in the delivery of the vaccines, we've also heard on the national level about the hiccup at the manufacturers in America and so on. But what is the alternative? Because we are now facing a third wave. And we are going into that season. And according to all predictions, predictions, the third wave will be much more deadlier than the previous two. What is the alternative? When I ask the alternative, I'm asking particularly in terms of the staff component of this municipality. Is there a possibility? I'm just speaking my mind here now because I've heard that some of the pharmacies avail these jabs for 70 rand. Is there a possibility that we can look at that as a municipality, or is that too far-fetched? That's the one thing. The second thing is, on our WhatsApp page, the mayor has recently issued a statement with regard to the illegal occupation of the Cllr.Elizabeth resort. What's happening there? Did you deal with those people? Are they, or is the resort occupied or not? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Hoven.
Thank you, Speaker. Indeed, let me start with the second one. We did receive intelligence that there were people planning to occupy Cllr.Elizabeth and to do certain things on the, I think it was the Monday. We alerted the police. We sent our staff to inspect the establishment. And when we found the establishment, there were no people. I think they got wind that the intelligence had gone out. And therefore, the Cllr.Elizabeth resort is not occupied by any unlawful people as we speak. I think the other stuff was taken care of by the municipality at local level and the SAPS when it happened. So as we sit here, there is no illegal person at Cllr.Elizabeth and would like to keep it that way. Regarding vaccines, Speaker, I think it's in the public domain that the speed at which the vaccines are coming to South Africa is very low. They're coming in very small batches. And the government has announced its targets. In the past, you will recall the AstraZeneca first batch had a problem that it was not going to be able to respond to the variant that obtains in this country and therefore had to be taken away. We know what has happened with J&J because of the contamination in one of the factories in America. That has caused a lot of delays for the delivery of vaccines in this country. We know that about 2 million of them are going to be destroyed and so on. And so there has been a combination of a number of things. But our reality is that there is a delay in the speed at which vaccines are being availed. So we are asking people, please adhere to the protocols that are there. We were fortunate that we've been able to vaccinate about 52 employees that are on the front line, from disaster management and so on, the EHPs. In total, at Garden Route, we have about 52 employees that have been vaccinated. Those were done during the Sisonke period with the J&J one jab vaccine, which, as we know, the Sisonke trial was concluded. So as things are now, we are waiting for the over 60s to be completed, the teachers to be completed, and for everybody else to be allowed. But that still depends on whether or not we have vaccines available in the country. That's the only situation that we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manager. I will go stand in the queue early tomorrow morning at Mossel Bay Town Hall. Approval of the minutes. Colleagues, are we all together? Thank you. Can we move to item 9 on our agenda? That's the approval of the minutes of the council meeting that was held on the 25th of May, 2021. And there's just one small correction from our side, and that is we know that Councillor Mdumisinoxolo is not from Mossel Bay, but we will correct that. That's all from our side. Any other? Thank you, Councillor Spies.
Page 15. just want to make sure that Councillor Ben van Wyk is not, he's not from the opposition party, he's from the governing party.
Thank you so much, Councillors, please. If there are no further corrections to the minutes, can we then please get a proposal and a seconder for it, for the correction thereof? Thank you, Councillors, please.
Speaker, it's Councillor Strubble. I would like to propose that it is accepted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Strubel.
Thank you, Speaker. It's Councillor Lose. I will second Councillor Strobel's proposal.
Thank you so much, Councillor Lose. We then move to item 10. That's the main minutes of the mayoral committee meeting that was held on the 28th of April, 2021, as well as the minutes of the budget steering committee meeting that was held on the 30th of March. For our cognizance, take note of that. Thank you, Elder Lady Kritzinger. We've noted that. Can we then move to the standing items? It's the appointments, service exits, and labor relations information for May 2021. Pages 76 to 82. Okay. Please proceed. Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me, Speaker.
If you would you like just to move your mic a bit forward?
Thank you.
Just put it down a bit. No, the mic itself. Able. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I just want to applaud the district municipality by not paying politics when it comes to job tuition. Yes, we all know that contract is a temporal appointment, but it will make a difference to their families. Thank you.
Executive Man, Elder Lady Kritzinger.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to know whether that was directed to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Lady Kritzinger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again this morning, it was quite a privilege that we could be part of the handing over of a 40-year long service award to one of our employees. And in this item, we actually can see that 10 new staff members have been appointed during May 2021, and may these new appointees also reach high service years with God and good. And I want to wish them well. But it's also sad to see that in the same item that we have people that has, or we have got a staff member that has been dismissed. People should actually, staff members should really take care and should look after their jobs, because it becomes a scarcity as far as our economy is concerned. So I want us to note this report as per the recommendation on page 76. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elder Lady. Are you covered, Elder Lady? Daisy, are you covered? Thank you. We've got a proposal there that we note the appointments. Can we have a seconder for that?
Speaker, I will second the proposal. Speaker, Councillor Nthabiseng.
Thank you, Councillor Nthabiseng. We then move to the, am I audible, or is this thing too close to my mouth? Does it go poop, 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 poop? Is it fine? Okay,
You are
thank you.
perfectly audible, Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman. Report on the Council Resolution Register for the months of February 2021 until April 2021. And you'll find the report on pages, from pages 83 to page 120. Any input comments on that? Yeah, thank you, Councillor Spies.
Yes, Speaker. Evidence provided. I gave Advocate Magakeni evidence this morning that I was present at the training committee meeting of March 9.
Okay, it's, that's the next item. I would like to make a comment. a proposal when we get to the next item. The report on the council resolutions. Any further input or comment on that?
We noted, thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Alderman de Vries. Alderman de Vries. Please proceed, Alderman de Vries.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, on page 98 and on page 111 and on page 116, there's a question that is being posed to us. If you look at page 98, item reference 1281558, in the column it's asked there what is happening here. So I would like to pose that question. It seems that reference number, there's an item, but it asks us what is happening here. The same you will see on page 111. It's item 1332323, and then item 1337990 on 116. Can we just maybe have clarity on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. MM or Rix, if anybody would like to respond to that. The typo. The bug.
Speaker, I don't normally miss such detail. I think it was just a typo, but there's no question posed to councillors.
Okay. Thank you. No further comments or input. Can we then get a proposal and a seconder that we take note? And thanks to the administration for allowing us to perform our oversight role properly and to keep us updated. We really appreciate that. And I think that's one of the innovative things that we did in this municipality, which very, very few that I know of also do. So thank you and congratulations. And we really appreciate that you keep us up to speed.
I propose that we note this, this report. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Other Lady Kritsanga.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lose. Thank you, colleagues. We are then on A2. That's a report on the attendance of council, committee meetings, workshops for the period 1st of March 2021 until 31st of March 2021, 31st of May. May I request that I know there are some glitches. I'm aware of 3 of them that we need to correct on the attendance of those. One is from Other Lady Wolmerans, the other one is from Councillor Spies, the other one is from Councillor Barker. So I've already received some input. May I invite any councillor that please contact our office to say that please correct this. I did submit my WhatsApp or I did submit my email. Life happens, and the problem is that we receive applications for leave on various methods. It's a WhatsApp, it's a phone call, it's an email. Sometimes, at times, it's even a verbal application that we must entertain. That creates the problem. So I request that I invite all councillors, please provide us with the corrections that you would like to be done, and we'll do that. Before I'll sign the minutes, we will have those things corrected as well. Is that fine with everyone if we go that route? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Other Lady.
Thank you, Speaker. Then I want to propose that we go with the recommendation.
Thank you very much, Other Lady Wolmerans.
Speaker, I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Chikolo, for seconding that. I'm glad to hear that your voice and your health has improved. We must all drink more orange juice.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. We then move to section B. That is reports from our Executive Mayor. And B1 is an annual report process plan for 2020-2021, pages 131 to page 137. Any input or comment? We've heard our municipal manager what the importance of this is, irrespective of the term the show must go on. The actors may change, but the show must go on. So there you got it. Can we have any input or comment on this matter?
Councillor Lichaba, Speaker.
Good afternoon, Councillor Chaba.
Good
Please
afternoon.
proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all honorables. Speaker, we're coming to a space where now that that ourselves, we might not necessarily be part of this process, but we have to, as a council, approve, because in the previous years, we were one of the few council that that took the route of Circular 63. Unfortunately, last year, because of COVID and also because of many delays, we didn't use this circular. But the AG is advocating that this is the right process to use, and that we approve the Circular 63. I therefore present to Council to approve the process plan for Circular 63. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor Chaba. If there are no further input, can we get a seconder for this for the process plan? Thank you, Executive Mayor. Alderman De Vries, would you like to make a comment?
No, Speaker, the hand was for as a seconder.
Thank you, Alderman. I'm missing that picture. When I look at the big screen, I would love to see that the new jacket and the glasses and the new look and the cap, the new makeover. You must give me your agent or your therapist details so that I can try my best to look better.
He's a Joburg guy now, Mr. Speaker, that's why.
Where's the Josie Okie? Thank thank you, colleagues. And we then move to section C. That's reports from the Office of our Municipal Manager. It's report on the Strategic Top Risk Register. It's from pages 138 to page 142. Any input or comment on this matter? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Speaker, in the absence of any inputs on the particular item in front of us, Mr. Speaker, I think it is about time now. This has been a debate that started many, many years ago, probably even before I became a councillor, in terms of looking at, I'm now raising a national risk, Mr. Speaker, that affects the garden route and the province itself. And it's something that I do believe, I'm raising it here, but I do believe it is something that we need to escalate to province and to national. These towns, Mr. Speaker, that are getting split by the N2 has become a death trap, in fact, Mr. Speaker. And I think we need to go back to reviving bypasses around towns, because every now and then, if it's not a disaster, it's a man-made political thing where we close the N2 and we cut off our towns. And I think we now need to go back to the drawing board, Mr. Speaker. And that is something that I will raise. I know the implications, it's easier said than done, but it's got to start somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Executive Mayor. Yeah, we've seen there's an increase in the social unrest and whatever, but I think what I can applaud this municipality more specifically as what's critical in these days is that we communicate what we do, and mostly positive news that we communicate to show the community also what Garden Route District Municipality does for them. Thank you. Any further input or comment on this matter? Thank you, Councillor Spies.
With the mayor's comments, I just propose that we note this report. Thank you, Speaker.
Can we get a seconder for that report?
I'll second that, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Elder Lady Kritzinger. Thank you. Our next item is C2. That's a report on the irregular or unauthorized and fruitless and wasteful expenditure identified in the 2019-2020 financial year, and we find it on pages 143 to page 155. Comment, input on this matter? You're welcome. Councillor Lichaba, please proceed, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, we provide, and this report is the MPEG committee to the council with a report on irregular, unauthorized, as well as fruitless and wasteful expenditure that were identified in the 2019 and 2020 financial year for write-off. Speaker, we must also acknowledge, I'm sure councillors, they went through the report, and whereby that we have seen that in terms of the irregular, in terms of the fruitless and wasteful expenditure, that there was from 2019 to 2020, it's 887, which is from prior years, very, in fact, not much. And in terms of the irregular expenditure, these items that we identify as irregular expenditures, they coming from previous years, and therefore, because those contracts, and also that they come from from 2018 until they finish, and then that's the only time that they will be not within the space of irregular expenditure. We also want to, in terms of the regular expenditure, we also looked at a Speaker and Council in terms of, there was a report that was given to us coming from 2020 to 2021. But what we did, it needed more information, and therefore we referred it back. So the actual expenditure, it's amounting to 53,617,000 to 575 rands. That is what we are proposing instead of the 61 million, because of that report of a 7 million report of the KPMG that we have referred back. And also that you also get we ask for the write-off of the unauthorized expenditure amounting to 35 million. Speaker, this is, as the committee, we're asking, therefore, in terms of the recommendation, number 1, that the council take note of the content of the report. Number 2, that council write off the fruitless and wasteful expenditure amounting to 887 rand. That council write off the irregular expenditure, not the one of 61 million, but 53,617,575 rand. And also and that the council write off the unauthorized expenditure amounting to 35,363 rand. That is what we present to council. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you so much, Councillor Lichaba. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on a point of clarity, did we now listen to an official or a politician?
Well, I think it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid one. This one.
That was well said.
Absolutely. Alderman de Vries.
Speaker, it's, I think you are looking for Alderman van der Werven. It's not my hand.
Thank you so much, Alderman Alderman de Vries. Thank you, Alderman van der Werven. Please proceed.
Speaker, first of all, it's a politician. That's we've just spoken. But Speaker, no, the reason why I raise my hand is I just want to second the proposal.
Thank you so much. I can't see on my big screen or the screen in front of me. Who's next? Mr. Meyer first. And then Alderman Gericke.
Mr. Speaker, I'm also aware that the ANC has got a political school. I think the fruits are coming through now.
There you are. Alderman Gericke.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I am just as much not the, in the true sense of the word, the official opposition in the council, but I have to raise some concerns in terms of this report. Unfortunately so. I just want to hear, I don't want to poke holes in the report. I want to hear, with respect to Councillor Lichaba, the chairperson, but I want to hear why is it that we wait so long to report on some of the issues? What was the hiccup? Because certainly when the financial year concludes, it means that the Auditor General has also dealt with the issues. So now we're dealing here with, suddenly we're dealing here with issues at the end of the term, with issues that we've never seen before. So where are we at? Then on page 154, on other, it says an amount of 1,027,630 rand unauthorized expenditure relates to 2 previous financial years. These amounts were investigated by MPAC as part of 2017 and 18, and 2016-17, 800,000 rand unauthorized expenditure, and were recommended for write-off. However, due to human error, these amounts were not included in the MPAC report. So remember, at the time I was the chairperson of MPAC, and there were some discrepancies and disagreements with regard to those amounts and the investigations that we've requested. I'm just doing my duty to bring this under the attention of council to say that there were discrepancies. The report, we have issued a report, and somehow or the other the report were just disappearing or abandoned in terms of my understanding. So fruitless and wasteful, Councillor Lichaba, it's a minuscule amount. Irregular and unauthorized expenditure, it is huge amounts. We cannot just let go by. We see elsewhere that people are brought before commissions, and we see elsewhere that people must account for irregular and unauthorized expenditure. And I just want to understand the explanations given here. In terms of your investigation, human error, and I don't know what else, but certainly somebody must account for these huge amounts. It did not go missing, but we need a proper explanation. I mean, it's huge amounts, it's millions that are unauthorized and irregular. As the Alderman van der Hoven will say, I rest my case. I can see that there's a little uncomfort about this, but we got to work through this. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Alderman Gericke. I have received a request from our MM that I was looking around who would like to respond to your concerns, and it was the MM that said that he would like to respond to your concerns. Thank you, MM.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you to the councillors. Indeed, we are quite confident of our report. Councillors, these things are not new. You have approved the financial statements. This information is contained in the financial statements. The Auditor General has looked at these things and has audited them. Now, in terms of procedure, we must then present to council what must happen to the irregular expenditure, which has been investigated by internal audit, and why that's why MPAC is presenting here. But just to give some detail, maybe per fruitless and wasteful, what is there, what is on the irregular, because it's not nothing is hidden, and what is in the unauthorized, for the benefit of council and probably members of the public, so that we don't appear to be hiding anything. With your permission, Speaker, I'd like to request Mr. Loliwe just to take the councillors through very quickly on the 3 items. It's quite simple things, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Can I then grant permission to Mr. Loliwe to educate us further on this matter? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, Alderman.
I respectfully want the officials, I'm not trying to cast suspicion here. I have asked 2 questions and I am not in dispute of the report. I was asking 2 questions and I would love or like the officials to answer the 2 questions and that's over and done. That's that. Thank you.
That is the reason why, Mr. Loliwe, please proceed.
Through you, Speaker, it is Pamela Lufele. Mr. Loliwe is not in attendance, but he did request that should clarity be sought that I may assist, if you may allow, MM.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, MM. In trying to answer Alderman Gerike's, I think I'm not sharing the right. I'm trying to share a screen in trying to answer Alderman Gerike. For instance, on page 146, with regards to the 1 million that was not reported in the 2 financial years, there is a table on page 146 that would illustrate the expenditure of the previous years versus the current year. Now, there was an error in terms of the recommendation, that the recommendation only included the current year, the following year that this report served before council, and not the total figure of the expenditure. So it was merely a human error that 1 million was never presented. Alderman is correct to state that this expenditure did serve before MPAC and was therefore condoned, investigated and condoned by MPAC, and the recommendation did serve before council, but it was a human error. There was no malicious intent for not having treated this expenditure in the past. And in terms of just narrating what the 3 expenditures are about, the 887 Rand for fruitless and wasteful expenditure was relating to just one transaction whereby that particular expenditure was paid late. But if you make a comparison from the fruitless and wasteful expenditure of the previous year, which was 6,000 Rand, versus the current year of 800 Rand, there has been significant improvement in terms of management, strengthening internal controls to ensure that we do not suffer such expenditures. However, through the investigations that were done by the internal audit unit, we could not find any reason to believe that any official acted deliberately in terms of contravening the MFMA. Hence, we reported it as such to MPAC, and MPAC is resolving to recommend to council to write off that debt of 887. Now, relating to the irregular expenditure of 53 million Rand, all the expenditure that is indicated or that is included in that 53 million Rand, 8 million is an expenditure that is coming from multi-year contracts that were not advertised according to the MFMA regulations, or SM regulations rather, that were then deemed irregular a few years back. But because council could not resolve itself from the contracts that were entered into with the suppliers, it meant that every year when expenditure is incurred, we have to disclose it as the institution as irregular expenditure. So there is no new irregular expenditure that was found that was disclosed in the annual financial statements. And the second part of the 53 million Rand refers to the bigger topic that has been held in all platforms that relates to the BAC composition where the institution is still in disagreement, perhaps with the new explanation from the Auditor General as to the composition of the BAC. However, we have resolved that, the council has resolved that all those expenditures will then be disclosed as irregular, and those are the contracts that are coming before you. However, all the necessary protocol and legislative requirements were followed, and internal audit did not find any reason to believe that there was any negligence from officials nor any deliberate contravention of the law. And the last portion relates to the section, relates to the piggyback of contracts, that which too has been deliberated by council and on other platforms, also with the new rather explanation of what that regulation is all about. So for irregular expenditure, that is what is summing up the 53 million that is coming before council for possible write-off. And the 7.5 million, as Councillor Lichaba has stated, that it is referred for further investigation that will then come to the relevant platforms to provide the councillors with the relevant information regarding that. And for unauthorized expenditure, most of the expenditures that makes up the 34 million relates to COVID-related unforeseen expenditure. As council would know, that we have the EHP department within EHP section within our community services, and our EHPs have been working day and night trying to trace all the contact tracings of COVID-related cases, as well as attending all the funerals and doing all other tasks that were unforeseen. And for that reason, there's been an additional expenditure that was required in terms of standby and overtime that has been worked by our EHPs. Those expenditures were not budgeted for by council, hence it is now unauthorized because monies had to be taken from other votes that had savings within them and were spent in the respective votes. And the other aspect is in terms of the tools of trade. I think Alderman Gericke spoke of the readiness, state of readiness for council should there be a case whereby employees need to work from home. In the previous year, I think we were posed for the first time with the situation that employees had to work from home. And during that time, the institution needed to ensure that all officials are given tools of trade in order to work from home. So a number of laptops, printers, scanners had to be procured for officials to be able to continue working effectively remotely in their homes. So there's a large amount of expenditure that relates to that. And the last portion relates to an evaluation of our properties. Our properties, I think that is the major amount, about 32 million, that relates to, it's a non-cash transaction. It's actually a financial transaction where our properties were being evaluated. But the evaluation of our properties, it happened in overlapping 2 years. In the year before, the one that is in question right now, when that evaluation of properties was done, that portion came to an impairment gain of 15 million rand. Therefore, when the council was busy preparing the Fs, they did not foresee that when the full evaluation of our properties was gonna be finished, it would then result in an impairment loss of 32 million rand. So it was an unforeseen, it's an accounting technical detail of our properties being impaired at a loss that was not foreseen, because the first portion that was evaluated was came out with an impairment gain of 15 million rand. So that is a non-cash transaction, but it has to be in our books in terms of the GRAP standards that we apply in developing our annual financial statements. So that is, in a nutshell, Speaker, what is composing those three expenditures for council. Thank you.
All I can say, it's a very big nut. It's a mouthful in a nutshell. And it was such a pleasure, I must say this from the chairperson side, it was such a pleasure to listen to you, ma'am. You give me so much hope and confidence for the future and for the talent that's in our midst. I've learned that lufele means the skin of a cow. And you can be very proud, very, very proud of your surname, and you've done your surname proud. I think you've got a beautiful skin. Thank you. Any input or comment, response to that input?
Thank you, Speaker. I don't think we can move on from this report without thanking and commending the chair lady of Impact and her committee and all the officials that were part of assisting them with this report. My only hope is that the ANC finds some way to deploy Councillor Lichaba to more than one council, where Impact chairpersons actually work near Councillor Matiwane. And I think the mayor's suggestion that the political school gets back into action because unfortunately you're going to be in opposition again.
Thank you so much, Councillor Spies. And I think we in ons sê almal so. My apologies. We've a proposal and a second for this item. Thank you, Councillor Spies. Thank you, Alderman Boyson. Councillor Lichaba, sorry, my apologies. My apologies.
Speaker, I have seconded long ago.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies. My sugar level is a bit low. I'll eat a sweetie and then I'll be celebrating. Thank you so much from all of us. Thank you. Can we then move to the C2, requested suggested adjustments on the service delivery and budget implementation plan of 2020-2021, pages 156 to page 158.
Speaker, sorry, can I just?
Thank you, Elder Lady.
That's C3. There's a typing error, so this should just be fixed in the.
Yeah, C3. That's correct. Thank you, ma'am. The numbering of the item on the agenda. Thank you for that. Any input or comments on this report? Thank you, Councillor Spies.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd just like to thank the MM and his team for paying attention to these types of adjustments on our performance. And with that, I'd like to propose that we approve as recommended on page 156, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Spies. With the acknowledgement of the thanks. Seconder. Anybody else?
Yes, Councillor Lamborghini, Speaker. I just want to second the proposal by Councillor Spies. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lamborghini. We now move to section D. That's a deviation report, implementation of the supply chain management policy for the period 1st of May 2021 to 31st of May 2021, pages 159 to 163.
Yes, Speaker, if I may.
Alderman van der Hoven as well. Thank you.
Who is first speaker?
Would you like to address us, Alderman?
That's why I raised my hand, Speaker. Can I do that?
Please proceed. Thank you.
Speaker, we as the opposition need to be applauded for our role, Speaker, in reducing deviations in this municipality to almost nothing. There was a time, Speaker, that deviations in this institution exceeded millions. And we made it our business, Speaker, to challenge that. Ever since, there was continuous improvement up to a point, Speaker, where we are at less than 5,000 Rand. Now, Speaker, next month, we wanted 0. And we will check you. We will make sure it's 0, Speaker. And we will applaud ourselves if that is the case.
Thank you, Alderman van der Hoven. Alderman Gericke.
Ja, Speaker, let me. Ek sien die burgemeester kyk al in die lug op as ek praat. Speaker, let me on this note, it was constant pressure and oversight from councillors of all different parties on the issue of what we're talking about here. Now, I think just to speak some sanity into this item, so that we understand for those that are coming in the way that this council has operated. We are dealing here with an administration that is extremely competent and mindful of interpreting legislation and how to govern. We've got to say that. Unfortunately so, Mr. Stratu. I know that on the previous item you were not so happy with me, but I'm a fair person. I'm really a fair person. So you have competent people here, and over and above the fears right in the beginning of this term, when all these appointments were made, there was a lot of fear about people coming in from other provinces, and particularly to the skin color of people. Let us say this. These people have showed us that they can govern. And they have pulled this municipality right from a complete mess to where we are right now. Congratulations, Mr. Stratu and your team. Well done. We're looking forward. I can't make any promises on the new term. The promises will be in the hands of Mr. Boyson, Alderman Boyson. But at the moment, it's a dice that we're throwing around all over, as you can see. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke. I only see smiles around me. I don't see any further people that would like to comment or make any input. Councillor Lambertine.
Speaker, you must find out why Councillor Harris is just smiling. You must just find out that from him, please. Thank you.
It's funny with these masks. You can see when people smile, although you don't see their mouths, you can see their eyes, and it's beautiful. And that is that's the window to our souls. Thank you, Councillor Lambertine.
Yes, Speaker. Yes, Speaker, from my side also, I would just like to congratulate the MM and CFO and all the people involved into this town management of the deviations. If you can look on page, what's in 161, it was down managed from more than 50,000 until just below 5,000. And from my side, Speaker, I would like to congratulate these officials who were involved into this decline of the deviations for this month. And with that, Speaker, I would like to propose that we accept this report. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Lambertine. Any seconder?
Speaker, Elder Lady Reuters will second.
Thank you, Deputy. And we praise the Lord that you better. Thank you for that. Can we then move on? It's section E, a report on the proposed schedule of meetings for 2021 in respect of council and committees for the period July until October. It's a proposed schedule, and allow me, a speaker with the team, our MM and our secretariat, my good advocate and my good lady friends everywhere, that the dates may change. But we'll stick to the rules of order. Our level best to provide you with the necessary information beforehand whenever you need to change the dates. But this is a proposed schedule, and I wish to thank the admin also for the hard work they're in. We know that we deal with 7 municipalities, and at times the speaker gets flack at other municipalities, but it's not an easy job. And there's a lot of work that goes into that. And thank you so much for that. Alderman de Vries, thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, just for the Mayor and for Councillor's piece, the Ouer Tambo School of Leadership is open for any member of society. There are 4 modules that they can do. They don't have to be members of the ANC if they want to do that. It will give them a better understanding of the ANC and governance issues. Speaker, I hear you in terms of that this is a draft, but I want to bring on behalf of the ANC the concern of one of the dates of the 25th of October. The election will take place on the 27th. Normally, the 2 days before that, we have special voting. And I believe that the majority of us currently part of this council will be involved in one way or another in the election campaign. So we, as the ANC, would like already at this stage that we look at an alternate date. I haven't seen the IEC schedule yet, but the 25th might be a special voting day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman de Vries. Yeah, we can then look at the 22nd. But thank you for your input already.
And I don't see that the visit to Cllr.Elizabeth Spa is on the 27th included in this agenda, in this calendar.
Alderman Gericke.
Mr. Speaker, it's a very important point that Alderman de Vries is mentioning there. On the 22nd even. It's in the height of the election season. It's just a week, not just 5 days before that season. And if we look at the traditional timelines of the IEC, it's up and down traveling, and many of the political party office bearers are attending those PLC meetings and special meetings of the IEC. Sometimes we're flying out to functions to the IEC in Johannesburg and so on. So I just mentioned that that's in the height of the election season. It is intensifying that time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. MM, please take note of that, really.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Anybody else? MM? Thank you.
Speaker, I really understand the concerns raised, but we are left with either the 15th or the 22nd for us to do it right.
Thank you, Elder Lady Gericke. Elder Lady.
Yes,
congratulations on your new geluk met julle nuwe verbintenis. Congratulations to both of you. Elder Lady Kritzinger, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to suggest that there's also a possibility that we won't have an election on the 27th of October. So that is, and well, can we leave this to the prerogative of the Speaker to decide how this is going to happen? I think it is your prerogative to make that decision as to when and where we will have these meetings. So then I would also like to sort of recommend that we adopt this this proposal and yeah, as per page 165. Thank you very much. And then also I would like, once again, I just need to say this because if you look at the agenda today again, 10 items on this agenda comes from corporate services, and I must really congratulate Mrs. Holtzhausen and the staff in that department of corporate MM to you as well. That, you know, it's excellent work done, and thank you so much for that. I know there's a lot of work that goes into these items, but thank you very much for that. So I propose that we adopt. Thank you so much.
Alala. Thank you, Elder Lady Kritzinger. Thank you, Alderman Gericke.
Speaker, can I just ask you, please, it is your prerogative and it falls within your authority. Can I just ask you to look more at the 15th? The election will come down. We have been asked as political parties to make submissions. We have done those submissions. The deadline is closed on Friday. We are now being invited to make oral representations as to how a free and fair election will take place in a pandemic. The election will come down. Thank you so much.
Thank you, MM.
Speaker, we will propose, but there is already a proposal on the table.
Yeah.
That, as you have said,
yes,
the conditions will impact on this. And I know in terms of your consultations, you may make a different call, but at least we've got something on the table that we can work on.
Thank you so much. Can we move on? Thank you.
Speaker, I will second it.
Thank you, Deputy. We are now on the restructuring of section 79 and 80 committees. Pages 173 to 179. Thank you, Councillor Spies.
Thank you, Speaker. This item is just to, well, it's not welcoming the new councillors, but to deploy new councillors to different committees and to adjust to the appointment of Councillor Ben van Wyk as a chairperson of properties. And so his position on other committees had to be taken by other councillors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Spies. Can we get a proposal and a seconder for this item? Thank you, Elder Lady Kritzinger.
I'll propose. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Elder Lady Kritzinger. Seconded by?
Speaker, I'll second that. Councillor
Thank
van
you.
Wyk.
Thank you, Councillor van Wyk. We move then to report from the auxiliary services section to council regarding the parking policy. All these policies have been workshopped. So we had an opportunity to discuss them, to make input, to make corrections. And now we must just, I don't want to use stamp it, just give a final word of approval on it. The corrections had been made on the policies as per the input that we received during the workshops. Thank you for that. Amen.
Speaker, maybe just for council, at the mayoral committee, the MACO, as you have said, the policies have been workshopped, took them from item, is it E, from E3 to E10, and resolved to recommend for their approval as they've been workshopped as they are. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. I was not part of the MACO, but somehow the spirits flowed because I had the same idea. But thank you, ma'am. Can we do it as such? From E3 to E10. Thank you, other lady.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I would like to propose that Council adopt these policies, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7, E8, and E9, and then also E10, the communication policy. I thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, other lady. Can I just give an opportunity to Alderman De Vries? Would you like to say to address us, Alderman?
Thank you, Speaker. And Speaker, I would second that proposal, but I will want to make 2 or 3 amendments. Unfortunately, there are issues that were not changed after the workshop. So I would like just in terms of the internal bursary policy, it's a correction, it's not something new. On page 297, that it talks about the bursary holder who discontinues or fails to complete his or her studies without the consent from the municipal manager, and this should be added, shall repay the municipality. The second change that was not put in the policy on 304, that is in the external bursary policy, because still in brackets, it talks about the missing joint income. We must just 6.6 change it that only households with a joint income less of 600,000 or less will be eligible for a bursary. And then again, there was on the same page, those priorities were supposed to be deleted because it was something that changed every year. So you don't want to change your policy every year, but just the criteria that was used by the committee. And then again, there was one on the last page of 308, which talks about the municipal manager. Again, it was incomplete, it was not corrected. Section 11.4 must read the municipal manager may, when necessary, and depending on organizational and operational requirements, offer students who receive financial assistance and opportunity to do experiential training within the scope of other related policies. With those few amendments, Speaker, I second the proposal of Councillor Kirchner. Thank you.
Can I just hear from the proposer? It's fine.
Yes, it's in order. Thank you so much, Speaker.
Thank you. Seconded as amended. Thank you. Can we move on, colleagues? Are we all still together? Would you like 5 minutes or you're still fine? Nope, nope. Thank you. Then we move on. F1 is an update report on the actions taken by the District COVID-19 Command Council to address the COVID-19 pandemic. That's page 337 to 344. Input or comment, I think Executive Mayor and everybody else already also said that we must not become complacent. And thank you so much for the continuous communication on the status within the province as well as in our cities and towns. And if I look at the figures, there are some towns from where I stay at Riabok, it's part of Mossel Bay. It's really of a great concern. But I can see that Gerald is in the blocks. They will wegspring. Is that fine with you, Mr. Africa? Mr. MM?
Yes, Speaker, thank you very much. We would request, Speaker, with your permission, that we allow Mr. Gerald to brief Council on the work done by the COVID-19 Command Center in the Garden Room. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Otto. Gerald, please proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, MM and Mayor. From my side, as usual, I'll just give you a couple of slides as an overview. I want to, as we start, just echo what the MM has said. It does not look good for us. And at this point, I can agree that the vaccines is not coming as fast as we hoped it would. So it's in each of our hands to keep ourselves healthy. So this is just a reflection of where we are now. I just want to point out to you that for the last month, we have shown a 300% increase in new COVID cases reported. And the areas of concern you will see on this slide, I've marked in red. Mossel Bay is on 570 per 100,000 of population, and George is picking up fast. It's on 250 per 100,000 of population. In Mossel Bay, specifically Great Black, is an area of concern, and we call that a hotspot, and the special interventions is being done there. I just looked at, because we forget, I looked at when did we get our first peak, as well as the total of that first peak, and as well as the second. And just for information, the first peak was on the 27th of July 2020, with 2,058 active cases at the peak. Now you will see we are fast on our way to reach the peak of the first wave. Then the second wave peak was on the 14th of December last year, with 5,292 active cases. So we must just bear that in mind, that that is where we were with the previous two peaks. Fortunately, what I've picked up is, although we've had 24 new people that succumbed to the virus over the last month, it's about 13 over the last week, it does not reflect the same death figures as we had in the second wave or the first wave. So it seems like the Department of Health at this point is still coping, and my next slides will also show this to you. So this is just a reflection of where we were on the beginning of the month and where we are now. Just for your records, I've requested the Secretariat Services to make this available to you, as it's a lot of figures and you might want to look at it later on, councillors. But what I've added now at the bottom, you'll see a new table that I've added there, and that is the amount of vaccinations. Just remember, that vaccinations that I will be reflecting there as we go on is the total vaccination. So it includes the healthcare workers as well as the people over 60, and as from this week, 1 or 2 of the Department of Education staff as well. So looking at the increase, I've spoken about that, and you can clearly see we are really moving in the third wave now, and also looking at the graphs that shows you the picture. You can't even see George because George is the blue line just behind the green line, which is white. So you can clearly see the 2 towns showing clear signs of the third wave. The others a little bit up, but not as much as George and Mossel Bay. And then, yeah, this is just focusing in on that specific graph to show the active cases for the district. As I've indicated, the healthcare services is still able to deal with the load. The hospitals is not under pressure at this point in time. The 20-bed ward at the Rikumai Hospital, that is still available. It's there. And the private hospitals is also managing. The oxygen supplies to hospitals is also still under control. This is all areas that we now watch closely, as we've learned that this is the areas of concern during the second wave that we had to monitor. You can see now the total vaccinations of 27,564. I was hoping this would have been double this figure, but unfortunately, we do not get enough vaccines. Every time we receive vaccines, we use them all in the week we receive them. So there's been no vaccines in the Garden district that was not administered up until this point in time, and we're ready to do more if needed, but yeah, we're not getting it. So in terms of the educators, as I've indicated, I'm aware of some that has already been vaccinated. Also, it is indicated to start in this week. And then just to reflect on, I'm not going to go through all things in the next slides, but I think it's important for our councillors to see this. What I've done is I've looked at each of the areas and I've tried to break it down to the available data to indicate, first of all, in Plettenberg Bay, for example, persons registered that is 60 years plus is 2,529 of the 3,253. So the percentage of elderly registered is 77.8%. Now, as you go down on this table, you'll see it's mostly our non-urban areas. It says NU next to it. The beta non-urban, you can see, for example, it's 17.3%. And that is our area of concern. And I've asked each of the local jobs to look at specific interventions of how we can get more of the elderly, the over 60s, to be registered in those areas. So hopefully by this week, Thursday, I'll get feedback on that. And colleagues, why I'm asking this is we have heard that the idea is at some point to allocate vaccines as per the amount of people registered. So the more people we get registered, the better our chances is to get more vaccines. So there's 10 slides. I'm not going to go through this because I know there's time constraints, but you're welcome to work through this. And each of the local jobs will also then be working through this table to see where there's areas that we need to address urgently for intensified registration of the people over 60. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Gerald. Thank you, Mr. Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just need to understand the total vaccinations. Why the different colors? What does those different colors reflect? You've got red and you've got green. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. Can you assist us in that?
Okay, Maya. Speaker, through you, what I do is when there is an increase, it's red, and when there's a decrease, it's green. That's just the active cases. The last column is vaccinations.
Thank you so much, Gerald. Can I ask our Executive Municipal Manager to further address us? Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Just a point of emphasis on this issue of registration and vaccination. There is competition in the country on available vaccines. Now, the lesser number of people that are registered, the lesser number of vaccines you're going to get, because they're not going to bring vaccines when they do not see people on the system. So the more councillors will go out and encourage people to register, the better chance of us getting more vaccines. So you will see that in the first phase, KwaZulu-Natal was very high up. People were saying, why is it being given more vaccines? It's because they had a huge campaign to register. their people, and therefore they were given vaccines. So like the members of the public, councillors, everybody, it's important to go and register so that we can say, bring the vaccines, our people have registered. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Imam. I would just like to get some clarity on this. If I know, I would like us to say it. I've registered almost immediately after registration. I still haven't received the SMS as to when I must go for vaccination. But the dates had been established. It's yesterday, today, and tomorrow, for instance, at Mossel Bay. The 23rd, for instance, I'm talking about Herbertsdale, and I will be standing in the queue tomorrow morning for my vaccination. Irrespective if you received an SMS, you're above the age, like all ons oud toppies, go and get your jab.
Yes, Speaker, we have been told nobody will be turned away if they have registered, even if you have not received the SMS. You will not be turned away, so you must go and get vaccinated. It's just better that people must follow their appointments. But if you decide to go and you have not received the SMS back, they won't turn you away. I think you've heard in Gauteng, for instance, encouraging people to go even if they have not received the SMS. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alderman Gericke and Alderman van der Hoeven. Ah, sorry,
Yeah.
that's Alderman de Vries. Alderman de Vries and Alderman Gericke. Alderman Gericke, thank you.
Yeah, Speaker, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Otto, for the picture that you're giving us here today. I just want to pick up, Mr. I see in Mossel Bay particularly and George. These two towns they've got high registration figures, very high, encouragingly so. But yet we still have some hiccups with the delivery of jabs. I mean, you've just said that the more registrations we have, the easier. 64% for George and 70-something% for Mossel Bay, it's high. Do we still have some hiccups in that, or do we still expect some hiccups, Mr. Or Mr. Gerald, please?
Thank you, Gerard. If you kindly
Speaker,
respond.
specifically for George, let's speak about that first. The urban areas looks good, except for Thembalethu. You'll see Thembalethu, there's only 20% of the people registered. So yes, there's areas and pockets of excellence. The reason why we are not faster with the rollout of the vaccines there is we're not getting enough yet. And I think what we're doing is we're planning 2-3 weeks ahead. So the moment that more vaccines is available, as the MM has indicated, the areas that's got most people registered will get more vaccines. That's what we've been told at many of the platforms. So I would love to see figures in 80% and above, so that we can get as many vaccines as possible to save as many lives as possible. But yeah.
Thank you, Gerrit. I would just like to know, are you done?
I'm done, yes, Speaker. There's something happened. Yeah, but we are back online, yes, Speaker.
Thank you so much. Alderman de Vries, please proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. My question's around compliance. I think we know all by now that the virus don't move its people. Now, it seems that especially in some of our retail shops and also your smaller businesses, like I want to use example, your barber shops and others, and other small businesses, you find that there's no compliance. Now, at the beginning or at the height of lockdown level 5 and 4, we know that some of our at the local level, your municipal officials through the traffic departments and law enforcement, they will actually go and do checks. Are we doing that again? Or is it the area that we have decided that we are not going to concentrate on? Because for me, that's still the problem, that there's non-compliance. And especially where you can have better control with establishments I would like to know whether there is a plan in place for us to actually enforce the regulations. Because you will find that people go into some of these small establishments without a mask, the owners, the people that must cut your hair or do your hair, you can see that none of them have masks, there's no sanitizers. So what are we doing in terms of that? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman De Vries.
Speaker, I'd like Mr. Compion just to brief council. I'm sure you would have seen, councillors, I think in today's platform, we already have our firefighters in Plettenberg Bay doing some disinfecting and doing all those things. But with your permission, Speaker, if I could give to Mr. Compion. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you for the question, Councillor De Vries, Alderman De Vries. Yeah, regarding let's start with the environmental health practitioners. The request was to them is going back, focusing back to the COVID-19 adherence, specifically to the public and public places. And together with that, we also start a program with the disinfection of our public places out there. We've done that together with our fire section personnel. Then we, together with the SAPs and other, can say service provider or stakeholders, work together as teams in the different areas, try to combat this COVID-19 at this period of time. What I'm trying to say is we deviate a bit from our normal day-to-day responsibilities back to COVID-19 responsibilities and focus on that at this period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Compion. Any further input or comment? Thank you, Councillor Peace.
Thank you, Speaker. I want to agree with Councillor Alderman De Vries, but I'd also like to point out that I had a haircut yesterday and my barber wore a mask, but that's not the point. The point is that nowadays, when you get at the beginning of the first two waves, the small operators were getting sanitizer, or they were provided with sanitizer, or they got deals, or whatever it was, and somehow, somewhere, that is not. It's number one, it wasn't it's not sustainable, but they are not getting these free portions of sanitizer to hand out to spray on the small operators. And so that I think I agree with him is a problem. But I'm not sure that each local municipality or even the district can maintain something like that. So maybe there's a different platform or drive that we can do to get those small assistance for those small operators to get back to giving free hand sanitizer when people enter their premises.
Thank you so much, Councillor Peace. I see he's also done a good job in highlights with highlights. Looking great, man. But thank you. Can I ask for Alderman van der Hoven then?
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to request that we again be furnished with a hotline in order to report any transgression. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. And can I give Alderman Gericke a follow-up opportunity?
Yeah, Speaker, thank you. Thank you. Speaker, I think Mr. Compion will know the last incident that we had in Packersdorp, for instance. Let me just speak to council with this, because we need some solutions here. The public is applying pressure on us so that even business owners adhere to the protocols of COVID. The house shops, these owners of the house shops, with all due respect, and we are not targeting them, they bluntly refuse to wear masks and so on, and even to sanitize people when they're coming into the shop. Now, there's a huge outcry from the public with regard to this. The last time Mr. Compion and his team did the very best when I called them. They went there, they issued a notice, and then when the guy didn't listen after an hour, they closed the shop And when they need, here's the thing, the disjuncture is in the authority to apply those protocols lies with the district municipality. But the district municipality does not have a police force. They will depend on your local SEPs to implement. And this is where we do not get the cooperation, because SEPs will tell you it's not their mandate and their authority, or they cannot do it. In the meantime, the district municipality has done what they could do. So you cannot put the blame on the district municipality. It lies with other law enforcement agencies. The law enforcement department of the George municipality, or of any municipality for that matter, is also not able to execute that authority, because it doesn't fall within the ambit. It just falls within the ambit of the police. Now, we don't get the cooperation from the police in this regard. There are hundreds of houses, in fact, thousands of house shops in this region, and our people are complaining on a daily basis because of these guys that do not wear their masks and so on. What do we do in circumstances like this? These guys are central in our communities, Mr. Speaker, and our people need to go to those shops, and they are not adhering to the protocols. This is a serious plea. What do we do, gentlemen, ladies?
Thank you, Alderman. Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do agree with Alderman Gerald, but I want also to inform Council that these owners of the spaza shops in our townships, they are very well organized. Let me tell you this. They have their own organizational structure, business structures in place at the local and at the district level. It is difficult to individually target these spaza shops, but if we can address or speak to the leaders of these business organizations, as we call them, foreign nationals or the spaza shop owners, their leaders, then I think we are a step closer. Because if I go into a shop, spaza shop, and address the owner or the guy that works in there, he ignores me totally. But no matter if you are a councillor, whatever you are, but if the police or other law enforcement agency can speak to their leaders on the issue of the COVID-19 protocol and what they have to follow, then it will be easy. But to address it on the individual basis is a little bit difficult. We have to speak to the leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councillor Harris, for the suggestion. Thank you, Municipal Manager. Can we then, I don't want to restrict debate. I know this is a very urgent issue. We cannot just run over it. Can I give our MM an opportunity? Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Speaker, and thank you for the feedback from councillors. I'm sure my colleagues, we will take it back to the District Command Council. That's where we sit with all the stakeholders, including the SAPS, and come up with the plan to address these issues. I think also the EHP section of our municipality will have to relook at our strategy to ensure that we again do the stuff that we did during the past two waves. We will be looking, Councillor Spish, at the possibility of these sanitizers. In the past, we have supplied shops with hand sanitizers and stuff. And I'm sure we'll also be looking at the provincial government if there's any help that is coming from that side. Gerald is here, has recorded all the issues. They will be discussed at the next District Command Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Municipal Manager. If there are no further inputs or questions or comments, thank you so much, colleagues, also for your input, and Gerald and the whole team, Mr. Africa, everybody else. We appreciate what you're doing for us. Can we move on? I don't see any nay. Are we together, colleagues? Mooi man. Thank you. Can we then move to section G? It's a planned district projects by provincial government, Western Cape, for the 2021-22 financial over 3 financial years, pages 345 to 349. Any inputs or comment? Thank you, Alderman van Hoven.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, when I saw this item at first, I thought it's going to be about projects of the district, but it's only basically roads projects. So we take note of it and we see that, but I thought really I was looking forward to see the projects of the district.
Thank you, Alderman. Yeah, we see that it's provincial projects, of which the garden route falls within the province as a district. But I also saw our roads, and you are very important, Mr. Daniels and Councillor Spies. If we don't have roads, we'll get nowhere. So even the agricultural sector, it's critical. Moons ago, and I just like on a lighter note, I know you're all very serious about this, but moons ago, my brother also studied law, and one of the lecturers said to him, one of the most important things in future will be logistics, either visually, either physically, or otherwise, but logistics. And if you don't have that, there's no chain. The chain is broken. The world stops. Thank you so much. Can we note the report? Thank you. Can we move to the report for the roads department for the financial year 2020-2021, pages 350, 354? Thank you. Any input, comments? None. Thank you. Councillor Spies, would you like to present it to us? Because then we can move on.
So the asset report.
Report, yeah.
Yes, that report and the previous one, I'd like to congratulate the director and his team on number one in the first report for the value of contracts that Garden Route consistently gets to deliver in Garden Route, and the value of assets that we are held responsible for, and that it consistently every year since I've been chairperson, I think it's 2018. It's now been every year that we have added to our asset value around 7.5 or maybe 8 million every year. Congratulations and thank you. I'd like the council to note the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Spies. Can I get a seconder for that?
Chair, yes, Councillor van Wyk, I second that one.
Thank you, Councillor van Wyk. Can we then move to section H? It's reports from the Planning and Economic Development Department. It's a report on the expanded public works program amended policy, pages 355 to 382. It's workshopped. Proposal and seconder. Thank you, Councillor Harris. Seconded.
Chair.
Councillor Law says, thank you. H2, report on the lease of Nooitgedacht and Groenfontein farms, 29 and 30 in the Oudtshoorn area to the Western Cape Honeybush Tea Cooperative Pty Limited, pages 383 to 394. Any input, comments, questions? Is it Alderman Gericke? Alderman Gericke, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you. I like to go first on issues like this. Well done, sterling job, proud moments to everybody involved, from the mayor right down to the MM, to Mr. Menzi, to everybody, even the committee. These are the type of initiatives that we need in our country, in our province and our region to bring transformation. Also to speak to the issue of land acquisition. It goes much further than what we see here. This is also in putting right what has gone wrong in the past. And well done, guys. I wish you could see, if I take off my cap today for you, my hat, this is indeed a great initiative. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And say good morning to Councillor Harris, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alderman Gericke. I would love to taste. We can have some. Is it rooibos in this honey bush? Does it taste different? But I would love to have it wherever we are. Let's promote it. Let's start with ourselves as well. I would love to taste it. But thanks for those kind words.
Yeah, but Speaker, this is why Alderman van der Hoven has asked the mayor to take us on a trip to those areas. And the mayor didn't give a clear answer on that. Mr. Mayor, give us guidance, please, man. Kry vir ons 'n bussie, laat ons ry soontoe asseblief tog, laat ons gaan. We are proud of this initiative, sir.
There was an invite sent out, Mr. Speaker. I don't know whether other councillors gave excuses or whatever, but I remember an invite been sent to councillors. If not, it is not a train smash for that to be rearranged again.
Thank you so much, our Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Can I then propose that we rearrange a trip to that area again, please, sir? Thank you.
Thank you. We get a nod in the chambers. Is it Alderman van der Hoven who would like to also address us on this matter?
Speaker, it is me, and I just want to say, Speaker, thank you. Hopefully this is just the beginning. We have lots of property, Speaker, and we can bring about lots of empowerment in this district, Speaker. Yeah, raise my case again.
Thank you. I take it that you've got a proposal and a seconder.
I want to propose that we go with the recommendation, Speaker.
Thank you, other lady Wolmerans. Thank you, Councillor Spies.
Yes, I just want to express my disappointment that I thought I was going to have the opportunity and the privilege to second a proposal from Alderman Gericke. But with that, I will second the proposal from Alder Lady Wolmerans. Thank you.
Ja, jy het my so aan die slaap gevang as ons spies.
Thank you, and we also Amanda.
But there is, Speaker, there is an addition to the recommendations, and the addition was that the mayor arranged a trip for us again. That's part of the recommendations, and I want Councillor Spies to second, please. The opportunity, Spies.
I would like the chair lady of Impact to secure the idea that that won't be fruitless and wasteful expenditure before I second.
No, you also have your political school.
Colleagues, that brings us to the end of this meeting. And let me take this opportunity to sincerely thank everyone for the spirit in which we could debate all these important matters. I really appreciate the unity in purpose that we display every time we meet in the council chambers, and it's a team effort. Irrespective of if you're a all black or a springbok or whatever the case may be, you are together. And let me take this opportunity, to thank you and your executive managers and all your precious staff, my good advocates, my secretariat. You know, I caught them out this morning. They caucus before they come to work. So they say, what are we going to wear today? And then they come here with beautiful yellow and green and beautiful people. So we are indeed very blessed. If you listen to the presentations today and the inputs that had been made by our officials as well, we can be extremely proud and we are blessed. Let's take good care of them at all times. Thank you so much.
Sorry for interrupting, Speaker. No one has thanked you, so I'm doing that. If it wasn't for you, Speaker, this would not have been the case. This municipality. Thank you for being a good speaker.
And I second. And
I am
second,
because of you. Thank you, Mr.
Speaker,
Mayor.
I second Alderman van der Hoven. Thank you.